Today is the 10th and the last session of the humanities course for the 6th semester students. We are privileged to have someone quite different from those whom we have been meeting in the past month or so. It's my pleasure to welcome Dr. AVS Ramesh Chandra, who has spent 36 years in the Indian Foreign Service and is well placed to give us a perspective on how our country manages its affairs abroad, how it manages its relations with countries all over the world. A diplomat represents the country, it's the country's eyes and ears, so to speak. Not only does he provide feedback to the government on events happening abroad and their impact on our country, but he also presents our country's perspective, our country's point of view abroad in the fora that in all the international fora. And as you know, we are not, except for one or two countries that are leading insulated, inclusive, self exiled kind of existences. Most of the countries today, I mean, it's a global world. Everyone has something to do with everyone else. I will not take too much time. Dr. Ramesh Chandra has distinguished himself in various assignments abroad. He has been ambassador, he has been the secretary in the Ministry of External Affairs at Delhi, and he has been uniquely placed to give us an idea of how policy is made in external affairs. So all along we have spoken about food security, military security, we've spoken about how policy is made at the Prime Minister's level. Now he will talk about diplomacy and policy making in international affairs. Dr. Chandra.
Thank you very much, Srimati Sarla Balagopal, a senior to me in the Indian Civil Services by a good 6 years, giving such an introduction to a younger colleague can be overwhelming at times. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Very good afternoon. Namaskar. My name is Ramesh Chandra. I began my journey in the civil services in August 1989. I hope at least, no, I don't think anyone of you all were born by then. It's been a long journey over 36 years. What I'll plan to do today, and I'm delighted when Srimati Sarla Balagopal told me that irrespective of whether you are doing engineering or technology or whichever pure or applied science, the last semester you are going through this humanities program in which you are exposed to issues of a myriad kind, including environment, including security, including culture, including labor laws, I was told, the most recent of them, and now foreign policy. You must be thanking your stars, this is the last. But it's not as boring as some tend to think. Way back in 1990, under 1 year of my joining the Indian Foreign Service, there were momentous developments. And here was a veterinary surgeon who had completed his bachelor's in veterinary science and completed his master's in veterinary science, majoring in dairy technology. with little history, or little knowledge of either history or international relations, or who has traveled outside of one's own home state of Andhra Pradesh, and thrown, quite virtually thrown into this uh, group of Indian diplomats of the 1989 batch. And where am I headed along with my wife? Newly wedded. Christmas Day 1990, I land in Moscow. December 25, 1990. Just 8 months later, Soviet Union collapsed. As I told you, I was not from JNU who has done his MSc or PhD in international relations. And to comprehend what was happening just after the Berlin Wall fell, unification of Germany, Iraq, attacking Kuwait in the Middle East, turmoil globally, oil prices, fluctuations. Well, is 2025, 2nd April 2025, any different, my friends? If you all have read the newspapers today, is 2nd April 2025 any different from 25 December 1990? No, sir. Same turmoil, same turbulence. What's the role of a diplomat? Ma'am was very helpful. You are paid for your judgment. What is going to happen in the next 72 hours? There'll be 72 calls within 72 hours. Have you recorded your assessment? What do I do here in Delhi? What do you want me to do? Tariff on agriculture products? How do I handle? If per barrel cost of oil and crude shoots to X, what is our strategy? If it plummets to Y, what do I do? So, and there is no possibility of hedging. Yeah, this is not a 3-day or a 5-day cricket match wherein, if it's a difficult ball, you can just move back and then let it pass. This is far worse than a T20 in that sense of the term. I promise you I'll not delay. You are watching the Royal Challengers Bangalore beating the Gujarat Titans later this evening. But I just thought I'll compare 1990 and 2025 insofar as the challenges before an Indian diplomat. As I put it in my title, it's my odyssey, my personal odyssey. So these comments are entirely mine. They do not represent the views of the government of India. I'm just, once you're trained to cover your backside, you do that all the time, right? As, the largest populated country on Mother Earth with 1.45 billion people, we're also the largest democracy. Largest populated country, largest democracy. Linguistically, religion-wise, culture-wise, include food, clothing, etc. into this. We are the most diverse countries in the world. We are the most diverse countries in the world. And the biggest celebration in India for every Indian citizen should be the unity in diversity that we have in this country and that we have had in this country. 22 official languages are recognized by the Constitution. So if me or Saralaji were to be sitting in the parliament today, and if there's a request for either of us that this particular member of parliament wishes to speak in Assamese, they do normally give us a day's advance notice to produce that interpreter who will interpret Assamese into other languages. God forbid if me or her were to fail to produce that particular interpreter, you know what is in store for you. So, besides the 22 official languages that are recognized by the Indian Constitution, we have something like 1,950 spoken languages and dialects in this country. I'm just giving these statistics to give you an idea of what is India, so that you get to comprehend, at least in small measure, the challenges that come to the government of the day by virtue of this amazing diversity. And we celebrate life in our own ways. The imagery of India when I joined the Foreign Service in 1989 was that India was a land of snake charmers and half-naked sadhus. Polity. I don't know whether we were a full-fledged democracy. Ma'am, were we a full-fledged democracy in 1990? Did we have as many voters then? Did we have as much of turmoil and tension, pre-election tension? Most importantly, I think it was President Obama who said it's economy, stupid. Am I right? Was it Obama's jargon? It's the economy, stupid. We did not have money to finance 5 weeks of our imports. Technically, in World Bank parlance, in finance, if a country does not have an import financing ability for at least 6 weeks, technically you are in a debt trap. You're already not able to repay the interest on the loans that you have taken from international financial institutions and elsewhere. We had foreign exchange reserves of $1.1 billion. Today, data available in public domain, as of December 24, we are sitting pretty over $705 billion of foreign exchange reserves. 705 billion compared to $1.1 billion in 1990. And in 5 years' time, well before 2030, I think, we'll have at least $1 trillion in foreign exchange reserves. And depending on whom you ask, that same country of snake charmers and of half-naked saints and sadhus and seers will be the third largest economy or the fourth largest economy, if optimists are to be believed, by 28. If you are a naysayer, then 2030. These are, mind you, Standard Chartered bank figures and Reliance industry figures. These are not statistics cooked up by government. And what that entails is a tremendous amount of hard work, a tremendous amount of innovation, a huge reliance on technology and its advances and their application, and the interface between your academics and industry. Are you relevant? Today, I mean, ask 10 parents whose children have just completed BTech. Do they have a decent job that they can boast of? A BTech student. So, there are pitfalls which need to be addressed in health majorly, but also in education, in my limited assessment. I'll need to tell myself to stop or someone will stop me. Yeah? I'll very quickly run through 2 or 3 thoughts. This is just to give you all some basics into what comes across a diplomat's life. I did Moscow, as I told you. Soviet Union collapsed within 8 months of our arrival in Moscow, and Cold War II subsequently followed. Me and my wife, with our 2-month-old child, flew down to Uzbekistan to upgrade our consulate there from a consulate to an embassy, modern day Uzbekistan, as you know, in Central Asia. And then I had a chance to work in St. Petersburg. The present day president of the Russian Federation was the then acting mayor of the city of St. Petersburg. I had the rare privilege and honor of interacting with him as well. And I subsequently went back to head our political wing in Moscow almost 2 decades later. It is indeed a matter of great honor for me and a privilege uh, to be present and to be speaking to you all, because last night I was going through some of these videos on the history of the Indian Institute of Science. To be able to enter that gate, you would have done, if you're a believer, you'll say, पूर्व जन्म में कुछ तो अच्छा किया होगा. Is there someone here who does not understand Hindi? Only 2 people. Okay. But still, I'll try to not move in there. Having 2,476 patents as of November 2024, I can't think of any other institution other than the Indian Institute of Science having those many patents. I only hope they get registered. They, the bath that the soap that I used today morning before coming here was sandalwood soap. The origins of which are from this campus, from this soil. The first laboratory that was set up to produce sandalwood soap. Why? Because the Second World War was on. The logs of sandalwood were lying there, and someone went and told the Maharaja, these logs of wood are remaining here. What do we do? What do you do? Saponification. Am I right? Is that the word? The process of making soap. This is the harbinger. This is the place from where sandalwood soap, and of course today the French beat us hollow, the Italians beat us hollow, and there are some who want to patent your basmati rice. There are some others who want to patent your haldi. That's a different ball game. I don't want to go through that. But it was very impressive to see IISC as of 2024 November being in the top, not just being in the top 5, but being number 1, followed by JNU in Delhi, Jamia Millia Islamia, and others. Very quickly, and I'll stop there for questions. What will be our major concerns? Kautilya, in his Arthashastra, written some 5,000 years ago, was very, very clear on the linkages between peace, security, and development. Unless you have peace within the country, unless you have security at the borders, there cannot be development. So one of the foremost challenges that will continue to grapple India and its leadership across the board, irrespective of which part of the civil service you belong to, will be the importance of law and order and security. Just to give you an example, we have something like 3,500 kilometers of land border with China. We have something like 3,300 kilometers of land border with Pakistan. And the two are together, all-time, all-weather friendship. And we have Bangladesh with 4,100 kilometers, the longest with any country that India has in terms of border. And you go to the Global Terrorism Index. I was just looking at the GTI figures. As of 27 March 2025, this is Dragonfly's terrorism tracker. In Pakistan, 8,374 people were hit by terrorist attacks, and there were 1,081 casualties, among the highest, second highest in the top 10 countries in the world. A country that is promoting terrorism almost as a state policy, itself being the victim of uh, terrorist attacks. And still, we were asked until just a few years ago to learn to deal with difficult neighbors, to learn to deal with difficult neighbors, while yourself being democratic, standing up for fundamental freedoms, including religious freedoms, where 80% of the population comprises Hindu, about 14% being Muslims, about under 4% being Christians. As I said, most secular country on planet Earth that you can ever imagine, while ensuring fundamental freedoms to all, irrespective of race, irrespective of your origins, irrespective of your caste, your creed, your color. That itself is a fact that needs to be celebrated, especially when today there is a talk of dialogue among civilizations. From a country probably 1/6 or 1/7 of our size, we have a dialogue among civilizations on a daily basis in India, for God's sake. When you travel in a bus or a train, you're traveling with someone, your mother and my mother travel together, they have to gesticulate to each other. They can't even speak each other's languages. So terrorism will be the numero uno challenge, the present scourge that India will have to guard against uh, in the process of pursuing its path for growth and development. But I have no doubt whatsoever. I gave you some statistics only to prove to you that India, as of April 2025, is a power to reckon with globally. Russia and Ukraine were in the thick of war when we could manage to ask both to stop, and we brought back 18,000 Indian students stranded in that region. We didn't do it alone. We had goodwill of the other neighbors, smaller countries, Romania, where I was last ambassador, and a few others. So we have this tremendous amount of goodwill that you youngsters will use as a torch to move forward in life. You must remember today, as an executive, when you walk into a conference room and you say you are from India, people will suddenly take note. Because what an average Indian youngster today means is dedicated, sincere, hardworking, trustworthy, and reliable. Once these attributes shape your very persona, I don't see how India can lag behind in terms of global sort of comparisons. This was not the case, my friends, when I joined the service 36 years ago. This was not the case. But today you are moving from that strength, and India will surely celebrate its demographic dividend. More than 40% of the population is under the age of 30. Am I right? Is that statistic somewhere close? So a large chunk of India's population is young, well under the age of 30, and hardworking, reliable, and the other attributes that I mentioned. So as you prepare to fly out into the world at the end of your undergraduation program, I wish you all the very best. Sky is the limit. These days, after the Mars rover and all, not even sky, it's, as I suppose, outer space. And just be yourself, put your best foot forward, and remain confident that you represent a country that will back you to the hilt. The kind of growth that we have seen in the last 10 years, plus the kind of growth that you will see in the next 5 years alone, are significant pointers. There is no turning back. The growth, the curve is going up north for sure. Please remain in that conviction. Thank you very much.
So after that enlightening talk, question and answers, we have half an hour for all of that. Please put up your hands, whoever wishes to ask, and I'm sure Dr. Ramesh Chandra will be able to handle all those questions.
I'll do my best.
No, you will. And please be sure to ask him to share some secrets of what he did. Questions? He gave you a lot of pointers. He was there when the Soviet Union collapsed. He was there when students got caught in a conflict not of their making, and yet were all safely transported back to India. So now, yeah, you can begin.
So first of all, in the previous few lectures of the same kind, people have mentioned that India is the largest democracy as if it is a very nice thing. I would like to know why being a democratic nation is a good thing. I don't understand why being a democratic nation or a democratic entity is a good thing.
Good, very good question. I'm sure I'll learn from you all also. When I go back, I'll also ponder. But a few thoughts that come to mind. I served in Pakistan as a press counselor for 3 years, exactly 3 years. August 2003, August 2006. I saw what a dictatorship means. I've seen Russia under a heavy hand of the Kremlin. I've seen Uzbekistan, again a Central Asian state. I think the president ruled for 35 years or whatever. My good friend Karimov, no, peace be unto him, no longer around. Is that good or bad? When I ask myself, you know that regimes have fallen in India over the cost of potatoes and onions? Are you aware of this? The Janata Dal time, if you have read about, some of these developments. When you land in Delhi, okay, I'll take you one step behind. When you travel from Pakistan into India through the border, from Lahore into Amritsar, I'll try to be brief. For the last 45 minutes, the imagery is of, burqa-clad woman, very weak, very, very sort of 4 or 5 children around. And even if you stop at McDonald's or whatever, you only get, beef and lamb and everything else. Nothing called vegetarian salad or whatever. Just that item. Tukra do ya pyar karo. Now you cross 45 minutes into India from the Wagah-Attari border. 45 minutes. You see young women, early morning, 7:30, busy on their mopeds, taking kids to school, dropping away, vendors at work, green farms for as far as the eye can see. Yeah? Earlier, the wheat bowl of India, like Andhra was rice bowl of India. This is the contrast. Bankrupt. There is no accountability. What the Pakistani military does is the order of the day. I went on to serve also in Turkey in 2010 under a hard despotic rule, veering towards Islamic Brotherhood and Islamic fundamentalism, how suddenly cities that were secular, sprawling business wise, Turkish Airlines was among the best airlines in Europe, yeah, plummets because of this radical shift towards fundamentalism. So I hope I have touched upon at least some aspects. Here, fifth year, if the people are, not happy, I was just asking perplexity, how many people voted in 2024 election? 700 million. Countries of the size of 4 million, 5 million, 6 million, 7 million lecture you on the do's and don'ts of society. I just keep laughing at those international forums when they lecture us about, the cost for controlling inflation and so on and so forth. This massive machinery to be able to control the inflation, like ma'am said, how many thousands of people are working day in and day out? And yeah, aided ably by youngsters like y'all, coming out with sheet after sheet after sheet. Sort of 0.1% move will mean this. A 0.2% move will mean this. So, I mean, today it is the security stupid time. Unfortunately, as I said, it's no longer just economy, it's political economics. In a week's time, you are talking of fundamental shifts. Are you able to adapt to change? Democracy gives you the power to adapt to change and throw out something that you do not like. And if 700 million people are deciding in a matter of just 4, 5, 6 days what their future they want to see over the next 5 years, I think you must salute the forefathers of this country for writing the kind of constitution that they have written for us. Abraham Lincoln included. We borrowed heavily from so many constitutions, including the Swedish constitution. I hope I've answered your question. We do have an overdose of democracy in this country. I do agree. If that was what you were trying to point, with democracy comes a major responsibility. Democracy is not a free for all. Democracy does not mean you have fundamental freedoms to go and beat up that fellow. If you cross that frame, the system will catch you. That safeguard, those safeguards have to be built in. But there is no other way India can exist with the kind of diversity that I was talking about by being anything other than a tolerant democracy and a vibrant democracy. Even if it is raucous, I don't mind.
So, sir, you have mentioned a lot about some qualities that Indians have. So, what do you think are the most important for diplomats in international settings, or what qualities that help you most, and what you would like to tell that you should keep in mind?
Well, that's again a difficult question. Which single quality do I? Yeah, if you are angry, you cannot be a good diplomat. That much I can tell you.
Has helped you a lot.
See, 36 years ago, it was not about calling a spade a spade. You had to couch the things that you wanted to say in a certain way with politeness, but the same sternness, yeah, on what you are looking for. Those days probably it was more difficult because you could not tell him, for example, from the Sato's Guide to Diplomatic Practice and Protocol, you cannot directly say you are wrong. Today, forget it. People are taking their forts out and coming out to fight, saying, ye hum nahi dega, nahi hoga, mudiyad. So it is hard bargaining, hard negotiations. And you'll not believe me, 9 o'clock in the morning, Sometimes we have gone into negotiations to come out of the negotiations at 9 o'clock next day morning. The officers meeting, next day officers meeting was already on. In the same tie and same. So I think some of the old world charms, if I may use that word, have disappeared. I really miss signing on the New Year greeting cards that I used to post from any place of my posting in the 9 countries where me and my family have lived, writing to friends all over the world. Have a great 2025. I miss all that. Today you have a list from whom you find a good image and say Happy New Year 2025. Gone. So now I'm from 1995, 96. I'm taking out all those cards and looking at some of the memories from the birth of my elder child, from the birth of our younger daughter, trying to correlate. So essentially, in diplomacy, there are no permanent friends, there are no permanent enemies. You only have permanent interest. How you secure that interest is what matters to the government in Delhi, especially under Prime Minister Narendra Modi. I have, from close quarters, briefing meetings with him are 3 minutes, and you are very clearly told what does that country want from us, what do we want from that country, what is that which that country wants, which we have but we cannot give and should not give. If yes, how much to give, when to give, in return for what? Is this not hard bargaining, my friend? Things have changed. I used to write a long dispatch, 2.5 pages, including body language, how Prime Minister Vajpayee was received, who were there at the airport, why is it important that at that level he was received, who was the next in line, what happened to his program, who were present at the dinner. These are all symbolisms. Can you ignore them? You can't ignore them. At least in international relations, small things, body language, and we used to write pages and pages and pages of dispatches. Today, you write anything more than 1.5 pages, Prime Minister does not have the time. Prime Minister's office does not have the time. Thank you very much. Long ago, ma'am, we used to write pressy writing. We used to be given 3 pages and we had to reduce the length of that 3-page thing to 2 paragraphs, the sum and essence. PRECIS, pressy writing. So you are challenged to your wits' end today in terms of communication skills. How good are you as a communicator? How good are you to represent your country? How good are you in extracting the maximum? You prepare Delhi for, say, 15 rupees gain. And at the end of the day, even if you manage 18 rupees, 20 rupees of gain, you are a success. And today, everyone is being measured by these trade statistics. You are there for 18 months now, Dr. Chandra. How much has trade with Romania gone up? Unless you launch a business council, unless you, feed them, unless you humor them, unless you expose them to young India, happening India, unless you push for these exchanges happening, how does it happen? Otherwise, there is a benign neglect. You lose also by benign neglect, by simply sitting back and not doing anything. I've taken longer than necessary. I'll take one more question.
Yeah, sir, given your long experience, you must have interacted with several state leaders and national leaders. So I was interested in how are the interactions with them? Like, did you find any of them? Like, what are your favorite leaders and what were their characteristics? If you can talk about?
Well, I mean, I'll be unabashed. I've retired already 30th November 2024. I don't need to take any any sides, any political party or 31st last working day of the month, my pension, whatever little it is, goes into my bank account. I don't even have to speak to anyone in the ministry. But let me tell you, the present Prime Minister, Narendra Modi ji, I've been tremendously impressed by uh, his leadership because he leads from the front. A man who gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning, does his yoga, sits down, and is at peace, complete peace with himself, does not rest until he has signed the last set of papers. A true karma yogi. I am also witness to meetings wherein some of the Indian ministers were sleeping, not sleeping but snoring. Some leaders from this very state, I'll not name them. What is the comparison? I had 3 presidents to produce to him when we did the India-Africa Forum Summit. He had a very long day in Assam, electioneering in Assam. I remember very vividly, I remember, 2015. He was visibly very tired and he's not 25 years old, for God's sake. And at 60, if I'm having problems in mobility, add another 14, 15 years, not just physically, but also mentally, to be alert, to display the levels of alacrity that he has. It's simply amazing. To get if he is convinced that you are convinced on your recommendation, there is no second thought. Immediately instructions then and there. Yes, Dr. Sahab has said, क्या बताए थे Dr. Sahab ने? 1, 2, 3. Yeah? Can we do it? क्या है problem क्या है? Now this kind of decision making is very critical in today's world. Yeah? I mean, by and far, with a $30 trillion economy, the United States will continue to be in the next foreseeable 10, 15, 20 years the lone superpower politically, not politically, forget it. I think we are way ahead politically compared to them. Ma'am, you'll agree. We don't have pregnant chads and whatever in the elections. In fact, they need the United States needs electoral assistance from the government of India. आप जब वीडियो बनाते हैं प्लीज ये पोर्शन कट कर दीजिएगा एडिट करके. But the reason I'm mentioning this is when you have limited time available to you and when leaders impress you, those memories, they remain stuck. When a small incubation project you see in front of your eyes. As Consul General in Jalalabad, I said, this tower, the satellite communications tower is of utmost importance. Within 40 days, it was transported, erected, installed, tested, and then they took my signature as the Consul General that, this is satisfactory. Prime Minister Narasimha Rao, way back in 1993, very young, 4 years into the foreign service. This is the last example I'll quote for you. Just to give you an idea. We said rupee, ruble, Soviet Union had collapsed. We were heavily dependent on the Soviet Union. Even then, today, those levels of dependencies have fallen very significantly in many areas, but also defense. We are now diversifying while retaining old friendships. We are building on new friendships. That is modern day India for you. That is modern day diplomacy for you. Prime Minister Narasimha Rao, we were a bunch of 6, 7 junior diplomats. We said, sir, what the Russians are quoting as the rupee-ruble exchange rate value for our imports from Russia, they are pretty much on the high side, so at least by 20-25%. He called his private secretary, Ramu Damodaran, a senior foreign service officer. Ramu, I want a witness when I am speaking about this. He told me, P.V. Narasimha Rao, look, the Soviets stood by us when we needed them. When we were in a minority of one over Jammu and Kashmir, had the Russians not thumped the desk in the UN Security Council saying, Niet, what would have happened to you? When the whole world was denying you cryogenic engines. I think this word came up, it's because the dean of the UG undergraduation, Professor Maiti, I'll certainly see him for a minute. He's a cryogenics expert. He'll bear me out. We needed desperately the cryogenic engine. Who helped us? Who is helping you in Kudankulam today? You are boasting of your ISRO's capabilities and so on and so forth. Had it not been for the Soviets launching Aryabhatta in 1974 from Baikonur Cosmodrome, where would your space program be? Where would your steel industry be? Had it not been for their semi-automatic technologies in Bokaro, Bhilai, Vizag, and a horde of places. It took the Prime Minister of India, P.V. Narasimha Rao, to tell us young diplomats, when someone has stood by you in times of trouble, baat banta hai ki you also stand with him in his times of trouble. A lesson I have never forgotten in diplomacy. Yeah, there was someone here that will, please permit me, that will be the last question.
Any
Or
international leader that you admire? You spoke of 2 prime ministers in India.
let me see, that's not because of any particular fascination, but the Romanian president, Iohannis, me and Katheni had the great pleasure of presenting our credentials to him in the palace. Such a man with a vision, very clear about his priorities. He told me, Your Excellency, I can jot down a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 priorities in a day. I'm able to, with difficulty, come to the 4th. Have you come across any situation in your life when you jotted down 5 things and you've achieved all 5? I told him, no, sir. Very tall man at nearly 6.5 plus feet, tall in every respect. Someone who believed in the need for Europeans to remain together as a group. The 27 nations today constituting European Union. Germany is going one way, France is going another way, United Kingdom, a big no-go area for many others, and the small ones are feeling the pressure. Small countries, Lithuania, Latvia, Vilnius from Scandinavia, and now courtesy Trump 2.0, Norway and Greenland, he wants, I hope someone has, I'll stop. So, I mean, he wants back Panama Canal because they invested $1 trillion and spent so many years building the canal, and the Chinese ships are using that canal for most of the time. So, I mean, he was a true intellectual, Johannes. I have a very, very fond memory of my interactions with him, and several of the members of the European Parliament, young ladies who are really standing up for women's rights issues, for equality among them. But I think youngsters like you all Your stories will tell the world about what India is. Every Indian traveling abroad is a diplomat in one way or the other. Right from the way you behave with the customs officers, with the immigration officers there, with the security officers there, with the universities where you are studying, and they don't uh, lose sight of the fact that you are from India. Just live up to that. Be proud that you belong to a happening country as of 2025. And as I started um, uh, my little presentation, I told you be proud that you are graduating from the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. There's only one Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore. Just, I had goosebumps when I saw some of the videos of how the royal family in Mysore, at the drop of a hat, sanctioned 470 acres of land for the setting up of this establishment when the Maharani had lost her husband, two very young children to look after. This entire parcel of land given without any sort of consideration, financial or otherwise, from those times. And the idea's germination was a conversation that J.R.D. Tata had. I'll go to the library now, with really looking forward to a very short visit there. J.R.D.'s conversations with Swami Vivekananda, insofar as younger generation is concerned, among the Indian scholars, I can't see a greater scholar than Swami Vivekananda. As an internationalist, he would have been the finest Indian diplomat that India has ever seen. So I suppose I've taken more time than necessary. Sarlaji will not excuse me if I take. Okay. One very last one, if you permit.
Have you experienced any racism in other countries in this past 36 years?
Atheism.
Racism.
Racism. See, I'll tell you a very, very honest fact. If you countenance an African diplomat from Guinea-Bissau, yeah, and if alongside is a Swedish lady who is talking to you, this Guinea-Bissau gentleman is finding it difficult because of language, phonetics, whatever in communicating to you. And that girl is sprightly and opens up a conversation. If I am attracted towards a conversation with that Swedish lady, will you call me racist? Yeah? Was color a consideration behind your thought process? It never occurred to me, young man. I have been India's representative in East Africa, looking after Uganda, Rwanda, and Burundi. The love and affection that I received as the Indian ambassador or high commissioner there, for two countries I was high commissioner, and for the third I was ambassador. I will cherish the memories of my serving in East Africa much more than my having served even in New York when 9/11 happened. The city never sleeps. 4 o'clock in the morning, you just need those $6 to get salad and your sandwich that will last you for 1.5 days. At 4 o'clock in the morning after my meetings in the United Nations. But that does not take away. And Africa is for the future, for the planet's food and energy security. Africa holds the key. Each one of the 54 countries there. Latin America. Just because there are linguistic differences, it doesn't mean that communication has stopped. That's what I'm trying to make the point. I have not seen racism of the kind that used to exist today. It's about getting things done. You have given an instruction, and today, I mean, your job, it's a global workplace for you guys. No one will ask you, are you from Sri Lanka? Are you from Bhutan? Are you from India? Are you from Malaysia? Because, we can easily pass off as, a Malaysian or a Sri Lankan, right? Given our skin, whatever. Or a North Indian, Kashmiri could pass away for any nationality. But at the workplace, are they asking you, where are you from? Or are they bothered about that sheet of paper that you give them? So I think it will increasingly, there will be hard nuts to crack. There have been, there will continue to be hard nuts to crack. Why, if you are a Brahmin in this country, don't you see places where, they are, standing 3 meters away from you? Yeah? Yeah, this fellow eats meat during Navaratras. Today is the fourth day or the fifth day of the Navaratras? Fourth day, huh? This fellow had, a chicken sandwich before coming into this meeting. Oh, Rama, I'm not going to speak to him. Bologe kya? What? Bread and butter issues will continue to prevail, young man, and mercifully, thank God for these small mercies. I'll, with your permission, please stop here.
Yes,
And
yes. I think we've taken up a lot of your time.
thank you. Thank you.
Thankful to you, Dr. Ramesh Chandra, for having spoken to us here. And I'm sure all of you have, you'll be taking away a lot of lessons from this, learnings from this talk. So as with everything else, this comes to an end. The humanities, what do you call it, course or credit, or what do you call
Thank
it?
you very much. Yeah.
Course, okay. So that comes to an end, and I'm told your exams are beginning on the 24th?
आपका number दीजिएगा.
21st.
Can you just write it down?
A lot of good wishes. I hope all of you do
आपका
well.
नाम और telephone
And I
number.
must thank you for your active participation in all the sessions we've had so far. You've asked pertinent questions. You've asked questions. Sometimes you may have been satisfied with the replies. Sometimes you may have just given up and thought, okay, so be it. The speaker has not really addressed the query that I made. Doesn't matter. It's okay. But I have been looking through your papers, the papers and the assignments that you have submitted, and I must say that I'm deeply impressed by all your assignments.
Thank you.
Without exception. I have
Thank you
found
very
them
much.
to be of very high standard. Thank you and good luck. Do well.